everyone, and welcome to the Millennial Revolt. Today we are going to be talking about the South Korean presidential elections, which will be held tomorrow after 8 months of political turmoil after former President Park Geun-hye was impeached and removed from office. So there's so much to talk about, so much to get into, so let's just jump right into it. So the main concern of South Koreans going into the polls tomorrow are jobs, welfare, education, and government accountability, not their conflict with North Korea. Public opinion polls have shown Moon Jae-in of the Progressive Democratic Party to hold a comfortable lead after a decade of conservative rule in the country. 26% of voters already cast their ballot in the two-day early voting period on Thursday and Friday. The Election Commission expects the total turnout to be one of the highest in recent decades, exceeding 80%. Exit polls, however, were not allowed. Opinion polls released right before the ban on releasing polls all put Moon far ahead of his rivals. Moon is a lawyer who entered politics as an aide to the late President Roh Moo-hyun in the early 2000s. Since then, he has headed the main opposition party and previously ran for the presidency in 2012. His main agenda is a complete overhaul of the country, which he and his supporters see as being bogged down in quote-unquote accumulated evils. His plan include increasing transparency and addressing issues that have occurred during the two consecutive conservative administrations, such as the undemocratic decision-making process for the deployment of the U.S. terminal high-altitude area defense anti-missile system, which is THAAD. And in a previous video I have made where South Koreans have been protesting the deployment of THAAD because they did not want it in their country, and even when THAAD was deployed to South Korea and snuck in the dead of night, South Koreans still came out and protested the deployment of THAAD. So all in all, it seems that they do not want it, and opinion polls have not changed, even with the tensions with North Korea. In all, 15 candidates entered the race, with some bowing out early on. Apart from Moon, there are 4 major players. Hong Joon-pyo of the Liberty Korea Party is a conservative frontrunner, while Ahn Cheol-soo of the People's Party claims to be the champion of the centrists and is also a liberal. Both are close to 20% in the polls. In the last batch of polls, Hong made notable rises in popularity and is now claiming he has surpassed Moon in support and would come out victorious in the end on the back of quickly consolidating conservative votes. Yoo Seong-min of the minor conservative Bareun Party and Sang-jeung of the Justice Party also remain, having seen their campaigns through to the end despite expectations that they would pull out of the presidential race. Moon made a final pitch to voters on Monday, saying that without the united power of our people, the new administration will struggle from its first steps. We must overcome this crisis with united power. Hong also made a final plea to voters on Monday to unite around him to protect the conservative free market and strong on defense policies that have been in place the last 8 years. As part of campaigning, Moon is making a trip to Bareun, South Korea's second largest city. Bareun is a port city located 450 kilometers southeast of Seoul, and it holds the most swing voters from the liberal candidate, and it is considered the traditional home of conservatives. Moon is also scheduled to make a stop in Dongyu, another stronghold of conservative parties, and Cheongju, a city located in North Cheong. Apologies if I butcher any of these names, I'm so sorry, which is a province, according to party officials. Now, the National Election Commission, the NEC, said that a winner will likely emerge around 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning, while the official declaration is expected after 8 a.m. On the 5th of May, a record number of South Koreans participated in early voting conducted in 3,507 polling stations across the country. Over 42.4 million people are eligible to cast ballots on Tuesday, making it the largest number of voters in the country's history, the NEC said. Analysts are attributing the increase in voting to a renewed sense of political can-do spirit among the South Korean public, as the toppling of President Park Geun-hye over her privatization of public power has led many to break out of their resignation and adopt a just do it spirit. After the power of the people and their candlelight demonstrations led the National Assembly to pass the impeachment, which was upheld by the Constitutional Court, there is a growing sense among the South Korean people that things can change if they participate politically. Another factor driving up voter turnout is the tension of the elections, which is never seen before a five-way race. The lowest voter turnout for a South Korean presidential election was 63% in 2007, when conservative candidate Lee Myung-bak won by a distant 48.7% to 26.2% margin over Liberal candidate Chung Dong-young, with the frontrunner so far ahead of second place in support and Lee's victory all but assured. Many voters opted to stay home. Polls for the latest election all have Liberal Min-jung Party candidate Moon Jae-in well ahead of the moderate People's Party candidate and the conservative Liberal Korea Party candidate, who are jockeying for second place. Moon has been calling for a resounding change in the administrations, while Ahn is predicting a come-from-behind win and Hong is proclaiming a return of the Park Geun-hye loyalists and vowing to block pro-North Korea leftists from taking power. The left-wing Justice Party candidate Sang-jeung helped pledge to serve as an engine for reforms, and conservative Bareun Party candidate Yoo Seong-min has declared the aim of helping healthy conservatism flower. In other words, all five candidates have given voters a clear reason for supporting them. So it really is going to be interesting to see if Moon does come into power and he does have a more conciliatory tone with the North, and how is he going to work with his Congress. So I'm really excited to see what happens in the South Korean presidential elections. Unlike majority of elections that do happen in the West, this one has been relatively peaceful. They have been very civil and cordial to each other, and it's just great to watch not all of that mudslinging and just really angst going on. So I'm the Millennial Revolt. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.